tonight. Appreciate it. 3, 4, or 5 people waiting. Neat. And I already got some thumbs ups. Awesome. Awesome. Welcome. Happy Tuesday, the 5th of October. Let me glue my mustache back a little bit. Yeah, I'm thinking about waxing it. Yeah. Last night, I tried to get going and it kept cutting me off, and it's kind of annoying. And we're looking into, hello Jack, we're looking into an alternate. And maybe it will be something that we will pay for, and it maybe will be better than what we have, because this is certainly not cutting the mustard. No, every other night I did that so you would have nothing else to do but look at this. bakersgreenacres.com. And here's the strategy. Everybody left? Everybody left. We're down to one person here because I got up and left. All right, I see how it is. I realized last night was kind of problematic. You know, it cut off like 5 times. And hey, Inga, how you doing? No, you're right. You're right here on time. It already went wonky on me once. So we'll see. But as I was saying, we are, and Lorna's with us. Good. We're working on a plan to get a better service. All right, we're working on that because this is just not acceptable. And I wanted to talk about this subject last night, but it was a little bit broken up because it kept cutting off, and I couldn't really make the point. I mean, when you're starting to roll on something and then bam, it cuts off. You just, it's like getting right to the edge of a cliff. And what about your own app like Justin Rhodes did? I'm gonna look into that. I'm gonna look into that because I think what is happening outside of the group. And I think the group has to adjust to what is happening. I think that's what we need to do. And tonight I want to tell you what we think are some possible solutions here. Now, this is me, Jill, Lorna, Joe, my son, Kyle, my oldest son. What are some solutions to what we've just been through? All right, if we just analyze what we've just been through. And then yesterday, with old Facebook going down, you don't think that was just a worldwide glitch? No. There's we've said this, and what I don't like to do is say, oh, well, the good guys are doing this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. I really want to stay away from that because we're at a D-Day moment. There are 2 sides here, and it is mortal combat between those 2 sides. And for me to sit here as a commentator and say, oh, yeah, this is what's going to happen, and we could just make sure you get your seeds for next year, I think is a little bit, it's a little Pollyanna-esque, right? And I'm not going to play that. I wouldn't play that way for my family, You can't optimism's good, but you can't just be like rose-colored glasses. Everything is fine. We're going to be okay. No, we got to make some preparations, and we've got to make some changes. And I think... Okay, I started to tell what happened this weekend last night, and so maybe I'll go through it again. I wound up having to go into Cadillac, which is 20 miles away, and get some parts for my well pit because one of my cows dropped down in there and kicked the snot out of all the components down in there and broke a bunch of stuff. So, yeah, Jay Tackett, it is D-Day, and you can't get your friends, and that's okay. That's okay. I th- and I think that works into what we want to talk about. We want to. We have a. I said this last night. We have a pretty dedicated group of people that come every single night, 5 nights a week. It's about 200 people. That is a lot of people. It really is a lot of people. I mean, if you're like a Justin Rhodes, I've watched Justin Rhodes a couple of times. I don't really know what he's all about, but I know he's got a following as big as Joel Salatin, right? And I wouldn't even know who he is, but somebody said to me, "Who do you think you are, Justin Rhodes?" Actually, that's why I had to look in to see who the guy was. And I found out he's talked about me on his channel, and I didn't even know who he was. He's got a great big channel. But we don't have a big channel, we don't have a big following, but what we do have is we have a solid following. And I think we have, you know, this isn't, I'm not trying to tickle your ears. I mean, I'm not trying to paint some rosy picture. This is about farming and everyday living and grinding it out a day at a time. And we, my wife and I and my kids, we're wearing the red badge of courage. We have done this for 20 years. You know, we have ground it out, and I would not want to do anything else. And I mean that. I want to stay with what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. I love it so much that I want to teach it to everybody who wants to hear it. That's how much I love what I'm doing, and how fulfilled I am with it. Because in my former life, you know, in the military, that's it's very compartmentalized. I had one little job here that contributed to this system, and this system was used for killing, you know. And when you think about it, it's like, is this what I really want to do? Well, listen, Mark, you know, there's bad guys out there, and we've got to have a strong military. Okay, I bought that when I was a kid, but now I feel differently. I think things can be handled differently. I really do. And I didn't feel that way for a long time. I remember when I first got out, I'd have arguments with my wife's uncle, who was Canadian and very liberal, and I was of the opinion the only way to get people backed off is to, you know, with a gun. You know, that's how I had felt at the time. And I don't necessarily believe that's true now. But anyway, yeah, government, they're the only bad guys. They don't have to be, Inga. They don't have to be. And I think that an era could be coming when they are all marched off, and then they're saying, hey, like, we need somebody as a treasurer down here. Is there somebody that could do that? And some nice lady like Inga could say, yeah, I guess I can. For, you know, 35,000 a year, I guess I can count those beans. She wouldn't steal anything, but the ones that we have now are a bunch of beggars and thieves. That's just the way it is, you know, and that's happened over time, and that's what the Great Awakening is about, is to ferret out all these scumbags and get rid of them. And it's happening. It's a slow process, you know, and I think we're used to things happening faster. But on our end of things, you know, this group of 200 people, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We got to do something, right? Or if we feel like we got to do something, what is it going to be? So I'm proposing here, all right, well, I had to drive into Cadillac last Sunday, right? I'm coming back. A friend of mine, Lorna, calls. Lorna helps us with our internet and business things, and she's got a good head for these things, and she's part of our team for sure. And she said, you know what? A solution here that is showing up on the internet is local. Eat local, live local. Change doesn't show up in a Ferrari, it shows up on a donkey. I'll have to think about that. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Well, that does fit right in with what I'm saying. We've all gone through some tough times, right? And through these tough times, we've had to adjust the way we do things. And so I'm thinking now that the entities that we depended on, right? We now know that we can't depend on them. Just come down through the list, all right? All the offices at the county seat. Oh, when COVID came, oh no, you can't come in. Lock the door. We don't even have to come to work. We can work from home, and we still get our paychecks. A lot of them got their paychecks because they don't want to catch the woo flu, right? The Secretary of State, you got to go get your license renewed. Nope, can't come in. And then even when it's over, got to make an appointment. And she's in there all by herself, eating her lunch, you know. So you know you can't depend on them. The hospital, you know, I say more. Home Depot, look at what they did. Oh, you got to have a mask on. You can only come in through one door. We can only have a few people in here at a time. You got to stay in line 6 feet apart. You know, for a bunch of baloney, right? They all played along with it, so we know we really can't depend on them. I'm not saying don't use them, but we can't depend on them, and so on and so on. You all know all the players that, you know, like the mom and pop restaurants that we all know and love and have gone in. Oh, they got to shut down because the governor said so. But the poor restaurant people, they don't know who to believe. But the health department is saying, oh, you can't, you gotta. Well, they know now that they probably should have just kept the doors open. And then when the health department shows up, there should have been some people there to meet them. You just drive them right out and then follow them to where they live, actually, is what you need. Because here are these parasites that work for these organizations. And I hate to say it, but they really are. They don't actually promote health. They really don't. They strong arm people. They get a fat paycheck from the county, and they really don't do anything. They're a waste. Most of them are. They're parasites. And if they want to come on and debate, they can. They can tell me all about what they do. I think a time is coming when I'll waltz in there and say, okay, girls, inspection time. Step away from your desks. I want to see what's on your computers. I want to see what's going on. We pay for your salary. Now, step away from your desks. We should be doing that. We should. They're our servants. They're not our masters, but they make believe they're our masters. And this is all changing, right? This is all changing. But we need solutions, and we need solutions now. And we need solutions for 5 years from now, too. We need solutions for 5 years from now. Are we going to allow this to happen again? I don't think it would be a good idea. So what is the solution? Well, Lorna came up with a real good one. It's eat local, live local. Okay, live local. It's easy to say that, but let's pick that apart. And now we've got a cadre here of 200 people that hear this. And this is not something that has to be hammered out tonight. I got a few ideas. Lorna's got a few ideas. Jill's got some ideas. We all got some ideas. Let's get the ideas together. Let's bring them together. And then let's form up a plan. Let's form up a plan. Is eating local a good thing? Yeah, it is. I mean, can you do it totally? Well, we don't have a salt mine, so we might have to buy some salt. Okay, we can do that. But what's an idea? Has somebody got an idea here? I have an idea. All right. What if I build a store on my property? But I'm not going to call it a store. I'm going to call it the outpost. Why? Because I want to, and it's my property, and I'm going to call it what I want. I'm going to call it the outpost. And then maybe I'll buy salt in 50-pound bags. Hey, I could do that. Actually, you can do that pretty easy. And then I could take that salt and I could put it in other containers that are smaller, And I might even make a profit doing that. And when people come in to buy their milk, eggs, beef, pork, chicken, need some salt. Everybody needs salt. So there's an idea. Is it local? Sort of. Sort of. I mean, it's better than, well, I got to stop in at Walmart to get a thing of salt. And I got to wait in line, and then I got to self-check myself out and facial recognition. And before long, I might need a piece of paper that says that I've taken some poison into my body to get in there. Yeah. Whereas if we had all these subgroups, they wouldn't be, they've got a choke point right now. They have created a choke point. They've created a centralized system that now they can choke us with, right? So we have all these ships sitting off the coast of California right now with things in their container ships, and whatever's in those containers, some of it's just going south because it's been sitting there for a month, right? So when they bring it onto the port, they got no place to put it, and it's a mess, and it's been created, and it's intentional, and it's so that not only will you have to walk one direction at Walmart, they're not going to have it what you need on the shelf anyway. So you'll have to go there tomorrow and the next day, and you'll have to wait in line, and it's all by design, and they're doing it to you. So the solution is to eat local and live local. If my neighbors, I don't have one neighbor, not one, that has ever come up my driveway and purchased food from me. Not one. We have a neighbor that we bring stuff to, but she never really says I want it, They are trained to get the cheapest stuff they can find off the shelf. They're trained to do that. And I don't know. It doesn't really work out, because if you're putting unhealthy food in, it's going to make you unhealthy. It's going to mess with your mind and everything else. Now, I can't make them shop from me, not at this point, but when it hits the fan, they're not going to have much choice, right? They really won't. But if people did this, I mean, let's say that I'm just giving one solution here. I'm just talking one solution. If people would do this, if they'd say, you know what, even if it costs me more, I'm going to buy from Ebles because they're local. I'm not going to go to Cadillac and give them my money because they're chain stores. They're the big box stores. Not going to do it. Eat local. I mean, I think we all understand that. When it comes to eating local, there's about 1,000 different facets of that. I mean, you can go to a truck gardener like Bryce, and you can buy bushels of tomatoes, bring them home, put them in your cans. You're going to be canning wholesome, better tasting, more nutrient dense stuff for a fraction of what you're paying someone else to do it at the store. And if you think about how institutional food is created that goes in like Del Monte cans, you're likely to find all kinds of things in there. I don't watch that thing on YouTube, how it's made, right? Watch how hot dogs are made and see if you really want to eat those. But if you do it yourself, that's one facet of eating local. You may not be able to grow the produce. You may not have the bodily function to do that. You may not have the land to do it, but you can it. And I say that somebody could be making some person, right? You're retired, right? So you're no longer going to work 8 hours a day. But what are you doing 8 hours a day? Hanging out? Why don't you go canning? Why don't you start canning? Why don't you start canning? And then find somebody like me that's got a store to be loading those shelves. with the stuff that you can. And then every time that you see, I mean, I can think of several people that could do this. They have all the components there, and it would keep them busy, and it will put some money in their pocket, some good money in their pocket. And see what it does, it's a component of the puzzle, right? Eating local has been shot in the foot in about 5 different ways, and it was all intentional. Do you think that the milk companies, who are starving my neighbors produce milk, and they're getting about half of what they're due on that milk, and then the milk companies pretty much give it away at the store. It's a slap in the face, you know. Here, I get $10 a gallon for raw milk that I've done nothing to except let my cows graze the grass that, you know, that grows out here, and the rain waters and the manure fertilizes. And yet my contemporaries in the industrial ag business, they're getting like 25 cents a gallon. They get paid by the hundredweight, and I'm not sure what they're getting right now, but it's not much. It's really not much for the amount of work that they do. They're not getting paid. They should be getting a white collar salary. But they're also a psyoped into thinking, well, you can't sell raw milk. They're continually psyoped into thinking they can't do that. Well, I am. I'm telling you right now, right out in the open, in front of God and country. If there's a problem with it, do something. But you can't do anything, because I happen to have this thing called the Fifth Amendment, which trumps any of your little BS little rules and regulations. All right. So they've done a lot of things to shoot local food in the foot. They've done that. We at the county level, right? Our county commissioners, and this is me, I got to do this. I have to go up there and say, you all need to ensure that we have a grocery store in this county. You know, you need to ensure that. And right now we do have two. We have Ebels, and then we have Rogers up in Lake City, which is good. It's good. We could have one in McBain, and we probably should. We don't. It's not like we don't have the population to service those. But then the commissioners need to go to the people and say, hey, you guys, shop here, will you? Don't be going to Cadillac, shop here. But you know, their mind isn't going that direction yet. And see, we have to help this. No, I can go to county commission's meeting and I can start talking about eating local and living local. I can do that. And then those guys, they're human. They'll be like, I wonder what that means. And then things are going to start coming up, and hey, I got an idea. How about we do this? How about we have a farmer's market or something like that. I'm not really into farmers markets, and anytime the county gets involved, they get scared, and insurance companies get involved, and then ultimately the Department of Ag gets involved, and it always turns out to be no good. So I'm not of that, but you can do a farmer's market on private property, and in that case it is totally unregulated. And if the farmer's market people decide that they're going to let the MDA people on, and I know a guy that does, because he says, well, she's a really good guy. Yeah, until he's not a good guy, and then you shouldn't have let him on, you know. Well, safety, Mark, safety. Yeah, we really need somebody from the state to ensure the food that we farmers are creating is safe. We really do. You know, somebody that's going to stop in for about 10 minutes on the day of farmers market. They're going to stop in for 10 minutes, walk through, and because they're there, oh, it must be safe. You know why? Because that person went to the university. You see that white coat that she's got on? And the clipboard and the hairnet? It's got to be safe now. Yeah, and she can pound a 12-pack in, I think, about 2 hours. She is really on top of it. No, how about not? And how about you as the consumer, when you pick up a tomato and it's got a hole in it, and you say, Well, the inspector said it's good, so that worm must be MDA certified. How about no? You know, it's a farce. It is an absolute farce. Started to believe in. But anyway, eating local. There's a lot of different ways we can do that. We have an outfit up here. They're Amish, and they buy a lot of stuff in bulk, like I was saying about, say, salt, and then they break it down into smaller quantities, and then a little bit of a markup on it for their time. It's on the shelf, and out it goes. Now they are inspected, and they choose to be inspected. But on private property, you don't have to be inspected. It can be, doesn't even have to be a club. It's just it's private, and that's all there is to it. And state inspection, they have no authority on private property. They can't just wheel onto private property without your invitation or an agreement with them. An agreement with them. The agreement would be a license, right? So if you say, well, I want to have a store, and you call them up and you say, well, I want to have a store. Oh yeah, we got a license for that. Well, that license is actually an agreement, right? It's a contract that you're making with somebody to come in and kind of partner with you. Only thing is, you pay them money and they don't do anything for you except criticize. They don't come and stock shelves for you. They don't come in and sweep floors. They don't do anything. They just come in and criticize because it's their job to criticize. And they would say, yes, but food safety, food safety. Yeah, you come, when I was playing that game, they came twice in 14 years, twice or 3 times in 14 years. The first time was for the initial inspection, and then they never came again until somebody else wanted to license in my shop, and I allowed it. That's how naive I was. And so the inspector came, and I wound up getting another inspection because of it. But I was thinking, well, this is a good idea. And she was a nice lady, right? Nice lady. Until she wasn't, until she came here and served a search warrant. But I had a license, right? I had a license, and I wouldn't let her on. I got pissed off at her, and I wouldn't let her on. I mean, she wanted to come when she wanted to come, and I had work to do, and I said, no. You're the one with the schedule that permits you to be anywhere, anytime in a company car. You come when I say, and that wasn't the agreement. So she generated an administrative warrant. Okay. But when we finally figured it out, when we let our licenses lapse, now we no longer have an agreement with them. There is no contract, and the document that takes the place of that contract would be the original contract with our government, and that is the Bill of Rights, the U.S. Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. There's no doubt about that. I mean, if you don't believe me, ask around a little bit. And, all these ordinances and things like this, those are at the township level and repugnant to your constitutional rights. They're null and void. And if you're having a hard time figuring out if they are repugnant, it's sort of like this. If I tell you, hey, go north, and you go south, that's repugnant. You're being repugnant, right? So, and here's a great example. Second Amendment, the rights of the citizens to own and bear arms shall not be infringed, right? But at the county level, they say, yeah, but if you want to carry a gun, you got to check with the sheriff first. He's got to give you a permission slip. Well, that's repugnant to the Second Amendment, is it not? Own and bear. The rights of the citizens to own and bear shall not be infringed. So if you're telling me I need a license to do it, you're infringing on my right, are you not? Now, a lot of people don't want to push this, but there's a lot of people that carry a gun when they want to anyway. And if they did get popped for it, they'd say, all right, let's go to court. Let's go to court. I want a jury of my peers. I'm due that per my Constitution too. And then Exhibit A, Second Amendment. Which one of you doesn't understand this? But usually that's not what happens. Usually the prosecutor comes in and says, I can take your birthday away, but if you let us take your gun and plead guilty to a weapons charge, we'll let you go today. And you're hating the food in there, and it's cold, and there's people crying and stuff, and you say, okay, okay. But then you get a weapons charge, and they took your gun. And they figure, cha-ching, we got one more citizen that is disarmed. Weapons charge, maybe you can't have a gun anymore. Not good. So anyway, if we're going to talk local, I want the conversation to begin about what we can do. And maybe we can put together a list of things that we can do. And I'd like this to be, if you could, solution orientated. So it's like I'm going to the supercomputer here. 200 people who come here all the time, listen to this and say, maybe this guy's got something that makes sense. And write it out, what it means to live local. And I mean, like, could we rethink the farm paradigm? Could we? I mean, from my point of view as a farmer and somebody that maintains a facility, I think I could. I mean, I did not dream when I started this that someday I would want to be building a classroom so I could teach other people how to butcher a pig. But butchering's pretty important. And I mean no harm with my my friends that are in the processing world. They've been stymied by the USDA and the MDA over this COVID thing. If you wish to get an animal in to be processed now, I don't even know what the waiting list is. And now, why did that happen? In one case, the inspector, who was an employee of the USDA, tested, because they said, well, you got to go get a test. So they test him, and, yep, you got coronavirus. Well, I don't feel sick. That's because you're asymptomatic. So we're going to have to close this place down for 30 days to clean it. 30 days. And then if anybody complains, let's make it 40. So that's who we're up against, right? So can we depend on them? I say no. And so I say we have to create our own. This is along the lines of how I like to explain the whole licensing deal, right? If you have two games, right? You have all right, Marion's with us. You have a game, like a board game, and this one says USDA, MDA, farming game, right? You open it up, you take the board out, it's pretty much like a Monopoly game, and you got the dice, and you have the thing that you turn over, so you can't wait too long. And then it's got this book with instructions. Oh, wow, look at these instructions. And it's got instructions in there. One of them says, well, yeah, if you butcher a cow at your house, you can't sell the cuts. There's a rule. It's in that rule. And then, here's another one that says, if you want to store it in freezers at your house and you want to go to the farmer's market, we got to come and inspect your freezers. Oh, okay. And on it goes. And some of the rules in there, they're nuts. That doesn't make any sense, right? Anytime that these people can think of something like, hey, you got to keep eggs cold. Why? We've been putting them out on the back porch for months, forever we've been doing that. Well, now, with salmonella and pathogens and things, now you got to keep them cold. So now when you go to farmer's market, the farmer's market master, Nazi, will come over and say, those eggs must be in a cooler, and put your mask on, So these are the retards. So if you want to play this game, go ahead. You want to play that game? Go ahead. Because I'll tell you, with that game, your profit margins are going to be less, your frustration level is going to be higher, and you become a slave to those weenies because you feel motivated to ask them for permission. You know, you wake up in the middle of the night, you have a great idea, you know, maybe about an ingredient that you want to put in your salsa. And then you get up in the morning, you make that salsa, it's great. But then you think, oh, I don't know, I better check with the MDA inspector and see if it'll be okay. And she can't come for another 2 months, and she's kind of you know whaty sometimes when she doesn't get her cookies. So you don't implement it because that's not how we work sometimes. We get a good idea, we create it, and then we implement it. And that leads to another great idea, and another great idea, and sooner or later you go to a farmer's market and you'd be like, you never know what you might find here. You know, you might find something really intriguing. But no, it's not like that. It's pretty much at the farmer's market, pretty much the same way as it would be at Meijer's, only more expensive and local. So you're supposed to feel really good about it because it's local. But the same inspection process is going on at that farmer's market. No good. No good. It has served no good. Right? And for the local market, I think it needs to just be nixed. Right? And we can do that. We can do that. We can just we just create our own, you know. So this is their game, this board game. Over here, we have a board game. We take it out, you open it up. It's got, look at Baker's Green Acres right here on there, and you know it's got the dice that you throw and the thing and everything, and then it's got the rule book. Hey, this rule book is simple. Look at it. It's like this is the deck. This is the Bill of Rights to the U.S. Constitution. Is that it? Bill of Rights to the Constitution. That's all I get in here. I mean, I don't get $200 when I pass go. No, you don't. But you do get the right to say what you want per the First Amendment. You do get the right to carry a gun when you want to per the Second Amendment, because you're probably going to be pretty profitable. Now you're playing this game over here, the Fifth Amendment game. And so you might need to pack a gun because the parasite class has really, they've really pushed the whole criminal thing. So the criminals are running around, and there's not a lot of jobs out there because of the parasite class. And yeah, you might need to carry a gun. Third Amendment, we'll just leave that one alone. Fourth Amendment, though, this is the one that keeps you safe on your own property from USDMDA, the parasites that want to come and regulate you. No, unless I invite you, that would be a licensing agreement, or you got a warrant, which I ain't doing anything illegal anyway, so go ahead and try to get a warrant. You know, you're just going to look stupid, stupider than you already look. So go ahead, you know. We should be waiting for you. Actually, we will be waiting for you. And this is part of the whole local, eat local, live local. And then the Fifth Amendment, that's a good one. The Fifth Amendment is really good. American citizens, your life, your liberty, and your property, which is also your process, is protected under what? Due process of law, right? Does it say due process of ordinance? I ask you. No. So if an ordinance, let's say they have an ordinance in some township that says, yeah, you can grow root crops, but no vine crops. No vine crops. Well, does that square up with the Fifth Amendment? Somebody tell me that it does. Somebody. All right? There's got to be somebody here that will feel as though, well, it's backed by law. Does it square up? Well, then how in the hell, when you live in a township and they say, well, you can have 5 chickens, but no roosters, and the people in the township say, okay. You're empowering them to say to you, well, you can only have 4 roosters. I mean, you can only have 4 hens. And then, well, three hens. Three hens. Two. Two. No hens. You're empowering them. What you need to do, the hunters need to become the hunted. And so to become a hunter, you put in 60 roosters, and then you say, come on, take your best shot. These are my roosters. They're protected under the Fifth Amendment. Take your best shot, right? And then you single out whoever's trying to run this, and if it isn't an oath taker, find one in that organization and sue them for their net worth. And then find out how dedicated they are to their little ordinances. Then you find out, because they're not that dedicated. It's really the whole zoning thing is way off, and people want to comply with it. They can. I understand people want to live in town. They really don't want pigs in town. I get that. And I think if I lived in town, finally said, no, I'm going to live in town, I wouldn't want pigs either. But you know what? I wouldn't live in town because people are such jerks with dogs. I was at a thing last weekend, and there was people there that let dogs out. And those dogs were on leashes and barked constantly for an hour. And the people just sat there like, no. Drove me crazy. I couldn't believe it. You know, and you have the same thing in town. You know, people will let the dogs bark constantly. And you really can't, I don't know, you really can't do anything. I guess they're free to do that, but it seems like I should be able to have peace and quiet is a pretty good commodity to protect. And when usually a person that will let a dog bark constant is a low quality individual. That's my my assessment. We've had that here. We've had some of that around here. We had somebody that moved in that had 14 dogs and allowed those things to bark constantly. Drove us right, was going to drive us out. I know how to deal with it now, and I would never allow that to go on. But anyway, so we got to start to think. We got to really start to think, and we have to start thinking, you know, we need some solutions here. We need some solutions so that these entities don't have their friggin' hooks in us, you know? So that if we, you know, I've been talking with Lorna about this, like community building, right? So right now, okay, we got a farm. We have a farm, all right? What's something else that we could, just thinking out loud here, what's something else that you could have on a farm? More pigs and chickens? No, that's the old paradigm. I agree we need pigs and chickens. Milk cows? No, we got them. Grow some stuff. Yeah, we do that. No, something out of the ordinary. Well, we have a school that we're running off of here, you know, where people actually come on my property, stay for a couple days, and we teach them how to do stuff. That's out of the ordinary, and that's worked out really well. That's worked for the farm family, and it's enriched the community. So that was a good thing. That's I embrace that. I think that's a great thing. Grocery store from Lee Witt E. Grocery store. Why not? Why not? Like Lee at your place, right? If you polled consumers that go into Hidden Creek, for your information, we were down at their place Sunday night. Excellent time, pig roast. They had a band, met a lot of really cool people. I had an excellent time. Excellent time. Hidden Creek people are awesome. Hidden Creek, if you guys forget, they came under the gun from the township a couple years ago, and that's how I met them. And the tribe had something to do with their survival. And when I was down there, I thought, thank God for the people that stepped forward and raised hell, you know, for the township and the really cool thing about the township is they had this one guy, Tony Barnes, that was a supervisor, and he was an absolute tyrant. I talked to him on the phone a couple times. I'm like, where do they get people like this? But a township supervisor, and he was running the place like he was like a mob boss, right? And so through their action, through the township's action against Hidden Creek, it created such a stir that the people in the community said, well, the hell with this. They voted Junior Walker out and about 5 of his cronies out. So now they have complete different leadership. It's not really leadership, it's just they have a job to do. They have bills to pay and taxes to collect, and they have a job to do. But Tony Barnes was way off the deep end. He was, I told you some of the stories last night. He was out of there, right? So if he had gotten his way, Hidden Creek would have been thrown on the scrap pile, because Tony Barnes said, excuse me, I just bit my tongue. He said, oh no, this is not zoned for agriculture. So you can't have you can't have chickens here. You can't have beef cattle here. No, they've got 18 acres. I drove in there. It was one of the neatest farms I've ever seen. I mean, it was really everything straight, everything very organized. They're very organized people. I feel very comfortable there, because when I'm someplace that is disorganized, like my house is right now, I feel very uncomfortable. I like organization, right? I've had to get used to it around here, especially me. I see a lot of messes around here are mine. I realize that. But anyway, we were down there and had an excellent time, and I thought if the tribe had not risen up and several individuals had not risen up, the impact that I saw that they had on their community Sunday night would not have happened. It's almost like a Back to the Future type thing, If they never existed, then they wouldn't have had that hog roast. And I was watching people. This operation that we've just gone through with the Wu flu has damaged people. It really has. People were fragile anyway. American society has made us very fragile. And I saw people that were kind of loosening up, because they would be with their own, at this hog roast. They're with their own. And then before long, there's people sitting together that didn't come together, and they're yucking it up. I'm hearing laughter. I mean, I just felt like a microphone, or a microphone. I just sat there and tried not to look too much, but just listen. And what am I hearing? I'm hearing people laughing. I mean, then you look around and see big grins on faces. And I try to catch some of the conversation. What are they talking about? All kinds of stuff. But most of these people were customers of Hidden Creek Farm. So very powerful, extremely powerful. Whenever you get in a crowd like that, you look at who's driving this. You look at the dads, right, and you can say, well, that guy's probably a machinist. He probably works at one of the shops down here. He's probably doing 50 hours a week at least. Then look at the wife. Oh, that's a mom. She's dressed like a mom. She looks like she takes care of kids. But who's driving? Who's spending the bucks? She is. And where's she spending them? Hidden Creek. So if you ask Hidden Creek, how could we better serve you in this store? I bet you that's a good question, Lee. How could we better serve you? Oh, well, it'd be nice if I could pick up a few more things when I make this stop. Of course, you're not going to get raw milk in town. You're not going to get the vegetables. You're not going to get the cut flowers and all the other stuff they do. I'm not aware of everything that they do. But they certainly could have maybe a partner there, maybe a certain woman that could be the person that buys bulk goods and breaks them down and puts them on the shelf. The store could be 3 times as big as it is It really could. And it's nobody's friggin' business what's goes on in that store except the mothers that come in and buy it and the proprietors of the store. So long as they're not selling alcohol in there or anything else that is a controlled substance, right? I'm not saying that you can break the law and because it's private property you can get away with it. I'm not saying that. You know, if you break the law and you're on private property, it's still breaking the law. That doesn't negate it. But you know, the Department of Agriculture hasn't figured out a way. Believe me, they would love to. They would love to because they would consider lawns as agriculture. And they've considered this. And they want you, in order to apply things to your lawn and to cut your lawn properly, to have a license to do it. Even guys that are going to go around and cut for other people, they want them licensed. They want to sell them a license to cut lawns because they say it's agriculture. Oh, that's what they do. They sell permission. And we're dumb enough to believe that we should. And I don't want to change that. That's not my point. I don't want to change what they're doing. Let them do it. Let us just know what they're doing and then play not their game, not their board game. Let's play the Fifth Amendment game here. Let's play Fifth Amendment. Let's play the constitutional game. Let's play that game. It's a fun game. It's really a fun game. It makes you feel like an American, you know. First Amendment, I have the right to free speech. No hate speech, Mark. No hate speech. I got accused of that one time, hate speech. On here, actually. Actually, there's no word in the English language that I can't say on here. You know, some of it I know would offend people. I don't want to offend anybody. But I have the freedom of speech. You know? And to not speak out against certain things that I feel are incorrect, then I do a bit of disservice. We're not here to play make-believe. I don't want to be here saying, hey, you guys, watch this. I can be invisible. Okay, I'm invisible. You see me? I'm invisible. Who can't see me? Give me thumbs up. That's make-believe. That's make-believe. And I'm not here to play make-believe. Bruce Jenner's a woman. No, that's make-believe. And that's stupid make-believe. You're making believe that I'm stupid. That's a guy. That's a sick guy. And it's gross. Hate speech. Why is that hate speech? And if I say that my cow is not a dachshund, that is not hate speech. It's the same thing. It's make-believe. I'm not going to play make-believe. All right, so we need to come up with some solutions for living local. And I think we can dedicate more time on this, of our time here that we spend together on, you know, the solutions. Boom, boom, boom. And then let's discuss them. Let's discuss them. I'm not sure, but it seems like we need to redraw the lines. I have a farm here. I had to take my son to a chiropractor appointment today, and I kind of thought for a second, asking the guy, how much do you pay for this storefront in town? You know, alongside this broken down storefront and this broken down storefront, the one across the road where there used to be a restaurant, it's gone. How much you paying for this? And then say, why don't we put up a building on my place and you can operate out of there? Because when people come in and get adjusted and get holistic health advice from this particular chiropractor, he might say to them, you know, you might want to go on a cleaner meat diet or a cleaner vegetable diet. Stay away from the stofers. Stay away from the Kraft. Stay away from that stuff. That's killing you. He might want to get honest with them, or Or maybe he just wants to play make-believe too, but I don't think he does play make-believe because he's my chiropractor. I wouldn't go to see him if he's playing make-believe, right? Now, I don't think we have to do everything on Baker's Green Acres, but I had another idea. When we were driving down to Lee and Crystal's, you pass them all the time. Schoolhouses, people convert them into houses. And you can see them. They all kind of look the same. So you can't really camouflage them very well. That's an old schoolhouse. And it seems as though they had a plan. They must have had a flow. They must have had a system in there. Usually you had a teacher. Usually it was a female teacher. Usually it was an unmarried teacher, right? I watched Little House on the Prairie. Maybe that's not accurate. Maybe I'm going too far on that. But she was usually good looking, though. I know that. And she had kids from, first grade or kindergarten all the way to high school. And then the high school kids, I'm assuming, were helping the younger kids, the ones that, and when this high school child said, no, I want to be a teacher, then she went and got some higher education and she came back as a teacher. And they'd maybe at that time open up another school someplace. But then it's got skewed, right? And you look at the schools that they've built now and they're conglomerates and they're bureaucracies and they have massive sports programs and there's a massive amount of money. Just to go watch my kid play Pee-wee, we have to pay $20 to get in to watch Pee-wee sports. And it's like, look at how elaborate this place is. And yet they're feeding them Stofers. They're feeding them macaroni and sleaze and all that other stuff. I want to use a lot of bagged language tonight. It's right there at the end of my tongue, but I'm holding back. Holding back. But what if we built our own school? My daughter-in-law is a teacher. And I'm thinking about the next time I see her saying, how much if you went back to teaching, how much would you want to make per year? If you could name your salary, how much would you want to make? And then, okay. And then we could work the numbers from there. When we were going down to Lee and Crystal's, Joe was on the calculator and I was driving and I said, well, how much is 5,000 times 20? How much is, what would the pain point be for a family like mine? I think we're pretty normal. But if I wanted to put my kids in a school that was a one-room school on a farm with a teacher that I had sat down with, and I said, she's not some, libtard nutcase, which there's a lot of them in the teaching career field. A lot of them, not a little of them. It wasn't like an accident, They did it. It was a winnowing process to get a lot of these communist-leaning teachers in the schools. And now they're teaching our kids, and they're making them more receptive to communist things, socialist things, things like that. And if we as parents do not want that, then we have to do something about it. And what do? Go to the school board meeting and call them names and yell them down and all that. As soon as you're gone, they do what they want, right? You don't really have any authority there. So the fix, as far as I see it right now, is you got the public school game over here and they got their list of rules and regulations in there. Then you have the Baker Schoolhouse over here. We hire a teacher. She's a tutor. These kids are all homeschooled. Their parents homeschool them. She tutors them, and then with the money that we're taking in from the parents, then we hire another mom that cook them a lunch every day of food that comes from Baker's Green Acres, probably. And and then when she's done with that, when the kids leave, she mops the floors and shuts the doors, and we do it all over again. Oh, we're going to have a field trip. Well, it's going to be local. It's going to be local. Let's go to one of the dairies. Let's go to a processing plant. Better yet, why don't we have a day and all you kids are going to learn how to butcher a beef? How about that? How about that? Real live skills, you know? When we push the numbers on that, the numbers are good. So long as we have broken ourselves away from the economy that exists, say, in the public school system. And I'm not sure I have a handle on this, but I know that my my clothing that I need to wear, I am not wearing, $300 worth of clothes every day, a different $300 worth of clothes. I know that. And as a matter of fact, my clothes, these are uniforms, actually, Baker's Green Acres uniforms. We're actually going to get some new ones because my uniforms are about worn out. And part of my feeling of living local is, how do I put this? I can't think of the word right now. Oh, minimalist. Minimalist. I like to be a minimalist. I like to do away with as many things that I don't need. I like them just to be out of my way. But that's really hard because just about anything on this table, if you've seen this table is piled with Dad's stuff. And everything on this table, I would look at and say, I might need this. Like this zucchini. I might need this. I'm going to keep this. But I have a lot of my stuff here, my soapstones and my painting equipment and my headlamps and, stuff like that. Ammunition, like cedar and all that stuff. I need that stuff, right? So yeah, there you go. That's some of my ideas to living local, right? Why don't I build, you name it. I mean, really, you name it. I've birthed children before, right? So I could set up a birthing center here. Mark's Birthing Center. Are you a midwife? I sure am. I can talk midwifery with the best of them. And I love my work. I love my work. I'm being facetious. But you see where I'm going, right? I mean, we could have, I could set up a canning facility where we can stuff to go in our store and Bryce's store. Because Bryce is too busy because he can't can stuff because he's working his fingers to the bone growing the stuff, right? And then maybe he could come work over here sometime in the wintertime or something. We just have to think outside the box. We really are thinking, oh, gee, I can't get my beef into the USDA plant, so I guess I can't get it butchered. And then, that's why the price of beef is down so far. Not at the store it isn't, but, on the hoof. Build a butchering facility. Well, I don't know about all the screw the regulations. It's private. It's private. Then you can employ guys at $20 an hour knocking down beef. We have to think. The solutions are not going to come from the alliance. The alliance is having to send special operations people in to get the oligarchs that have their own private armies that protect them. They have to be weeded out. They have to be arrested. They have to be pulled out. And that's happening, I think. I do believe that's happening. I can kind of feel it. But that's not what I'm called to do. I'm not a special operator. Rambo. And I'm not military either. I'm a civilian. But I am a farmer, and I am an organizer, and I do have ideas, and I do have a channel. And I do have this canteen. So, a lot of the conversations that I had Sunday night, and this is just where it's going, is people are acutely aware of of the fact that something's happening, like there's something wrong, and what you have is two warring factions, right? There's definitely two warring factions. There's the alliance that wants to save this republic. This republic goes down, and the rest of the world is in tough shape. It is bad. And the fail-safe is civil war, and we do not want that. We do not want that. We would win, but we do not want that because, bullet wounds are no fun. We want to get this done legally. This is way better to get it done legally. And we have the proof that we need to do this legally. But it will create a vacuum somehow, and especially in agriculture, because I am not sure how this will work, but I don't think that industrial agriculture, the way it is right now, I know it's not fair. How could it be fair that because those guys are big and they're on the cusp of failure for the last 20 years, that the government gives them money so they can keep going? And I drive a 1974 pickup, and they drive a 2019 pickup that they paid $90,000 for. And I don't get any money from the government. How's that? Oh, I don't get any money because you're operating in the black. You're running your business effectively. Oh, I see how that works. See, so is that going to continue when this thing falls apart? I don't think so, because I can't see how that's even legal. What they do, the pollution that they do, it's only because they have agencies that run defense for them that say, no, DEQ says, hey, it's legal to do this. You can dump this stuff right in the river. GEQ says, all right, I guess it's okay. DEQ, yeah, there's a worm in this apple. But MDA says it's good, so okay. Yeah, that's a certified worm I just ate. Don't be dumb. Don't be dumb. These people are, it's an organized, like a cartel. And the farmers right here, they joke about it. They say, well, we're farming the ground, we're farming the government, But it's just, there's a lot of things that they're doing that ain't good. A lot of money that just runs out of this county because the people that are working here are not from here. They don't even speak English. And their money goes south of the border. And does our county sheriff do anything? Nope. Nope. Not a thing. What does he say? Well, that's a federal thing. That's not my... Oh, so any federal crime is like you can look the other way? Yeah. So, but... there's not one thing that will get these things straightened out. It's a bunch of things, and it's like an onion that's been wrapped over a lot of years, and it's being unwrapped. It's being unwrapped. And there's no really one man that's going to straighten this out. Yeah, it was nice to have Trump in there. Maybe we'll get him back, but I think what he started is not going to stop. And this is what I'm talking about. It is coming, and we have to be prepared for it. And when we have our solutions in place, it will make it so this will not happen again. And we won't be arguing about mask, no mask, or anything like that. We'll just be saying that I'm not doing it. I'm not doing that stuff. I'm not going to do it. By the way, I haven't been reading any of the comments because I've been flying, but I did something today that I wanted to share that was kind of neat. I when I was coming back from Muskegon, Sunday night, all of a sudden I just got this flush of heat into my head, and I felt kind of wheezy. And by the time I got home, it was like, I'm sick. I thought I had beat it. I thought I had beat it, but I didn't. And then yesterday I got up, and normally I get up, half a cup of coffee, and I'm out. I'm in the pool, even these cold mornings. And I came out, looked at the pool, and it looked at me, and the pool said, "Go back to bed." And so I did, and I was there till 12:30. So that's not like me. So something's up, something's definitely up. And last night I was in bed on time with like a half full stomach and some aspirin for the headache, and slept all night. Got up at 7. I'm good. I'm good. It's over. Half a cup of coffee in the pool. Got out of the pool. Good to be an American, It just felt really good. And so I put my boots on, went to it, got going, and then about an hour in, I to a stop, and I wanted to just sit down. So I was moving my cows is what I was doing, and I moved them onto a fresh pasture. I had moved the fence and stuff. So there's a lot of walking and stuff. It's not hard work or anything, but it's good exercise. And I don't know. I just try to listen to myself, listen to my body. I took my boots off. There's a lot of dew on the ground in the morning, and this would have been about, the dew was off the ground, but I still had my boots on, my muck boots on, my barn boots, rubber boots, and I kicked them off, and so I walked around with just my stocking feet. I was down on the back 40 of our place. There's nothing down there, nobody down there. It was quiet. Shut the tractor off, sat down, and I just needed to get my breath a little bit. And I knew I'm not gonna keel over. I just said, I gotta rest. I gotta rest this a little bit. I have been all my life the type of person that gets a little sick. My wife might disagree, because she thinks I'm a big baby. But that's because, she doesn't even know that I had mononucleosis. I just worked right through it. I never said anything. I never said I had a headache. I never said I had anything. I had, let's see, what else did I have? I had beriberi one time, worked right through it. I had, I've had all kinds of things. And I'm a hypochondriac too, and I work right through that. So normally I just press through all my, my ailments, and it's tough, But today I just felt like, I got to rest for a second. Nobody was watching. I took my boots off, stood on the ground, and I started thinking about grounding. You have rubber boots on, you're insulated from the ground all day long. If you're in the garden, you're kneeling on the ground. Sometimes we'll work in bare feet in the garden, yeah. But being, there's definitely something going on. My body is definitely fighting something. I'm not going to go get tested for anything. It might just be a cold, who knows. But it's a little different, I guess. Jill's a little different. I got a fever that comes and goes, and all the kids are laid low a little bit. So anyway, I thought, well, if I'm standing on the ground and it feels like the right thing to do, maybe I'm just going to sit. So I sat with my bum on the ground, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to lay over. And so I put my arm up, and I laid down on my arm, and it was the most peaceful experience. I could feel the cows. The cows were walking around me. They're not going to walk on me. And the tractor was off. It was just a peaceful experience. And it felt like I went to sleep, but I know I didn't. And I popped up, and I felt rejuvenated. And I thought, there's something to that. Because last night, I had some extremely odd dreams. Extremely. One of them was I was back in the military, and just, there was these things that would happen, you know, like you were responsible for something, you know, it could be a facility. And then, you know, you think you've got everything done, and then somebody walks through the facility and says, hey, nobody's inspected this fire extinguisher in 30 days. And you're like, yeah, right, I know I did that. But you could actually get in a lot of trouble for that because that is your job. And I had a dream like that, but it was a nuke facility, and I was responsible for the whole thing. And come to find out, I remember there was a junior person from the person who was reading through all the documents, and they said this place is really fouled up. And I'm like, I'm in trouble. I thought I was gonna, that feeling, like, I think I'm gonna lose a stripe over this. I'm in real trouble. And I woke up with that this morning. But, I don't know. I have those dreams a lot, like I'm still in the military, and, you know, I'm supposed to be someplace and I'm not there, or a lot of times it's stressful when you had to go someplace. So you had to meet an airplane, and you had to make sure you had all the right stuff, and then you got where you were going, you expended all your stuff that you had, and now you got to get back. And a lot of times it was tricky getting back. And if you missed movement, you could be stuck for another week or month or whatever. And it was stressful. And I have dreams about that. I had those last night. Maybe it was just gas, huh? All right, maybe I should look through some. Maybe you've got some things to talk about. But I'm coveting your response on this, your ideas for solutions for living locally. Living locally. Could somebody have a 4-bed hospital on their farm? Could somebody have a bowling alley on their farm? Could somebody have a mini golf? How about a frisbee golf on their farm? You know, so that we can all go there and spend our money with you instead of. I don't want to put town out of business. We don't have a theater in town. We should. The theater that was in Cadillac, I think they closed down because of the Wu flu. And, you know, those people were operating probably not on the best budget. But so I just think that we are going to have to come up with some solutions. And I've got some ideas, and I'm not just saying I just want to hear these. I just want to hear what you have. Somebody call me sweetie. I believe I saw that. You know, you see something, it's like, oh, okay. Hi, sweetie. A drive-in theater. Wouldn't that be fun? What about having parties like Lee and Crystal did? And then, I mean, they had a band, and it was a really good band, too. But that must have cost. I like a jukebox, you know, or somebody that would play tunes, you know, that you could request, like a good sound system. Hey, play a little CCR for me, will you? Oh, sure. Got any Boz Skaggs? How about some Steely Dan? What else would you guys want to hear? I mean, this is a great subject. This is, we could really make something of this. I see a time when a house comes up for sale in my neighborhood, and I'm able to, I don't know how this would happen, but let's say I could buy the house. And then I start advertising the house, but I'm only advertising to auto mechanics. I need an auto mechanic in this neighborhood, and if nobody else is going to organize it, I will. We need an auto mechanic. And the auto mechanic comes and looks at the house and says, yeah, well, what's in this for me? You want to eat? Yeah. grown accustomed to it. Okay. You fix our stuff first, all the farm equipment first, and then our personal vehicles, our POVs, we'll pay you for it. We're not expecting anybody to work for nothing. And you shop at the store. And all the people that are in the community, maybe they get a better deal at the store. I don't know. Yeah, that would make sense. And then we have then we build our drive-in theater. And we have, what about a dance hall? A dance hall. And we have dances on Friday nights, right? What about oh boy, what about we give pig butchering classes? I know. But anyway, we could share equipment. Lots of good ideas in the chat. Okay, so I better go through them because I don't really know how to save that. I don't, but I believe there's a way. Okay, wow. Jack's with us. Brittany's with us. Debbie's with us. Declare It Homestead's with us. That's a good crew right there. Ing is with us. Got to put her to work. She's got a lot of potential. Lorna's with us. We are going to up our game. Keith's with us. See, and we didn't even mention into Home Depot Sunday morning. I was walking in there at 8:30, and I'm like, this is a different group of people in here. I'm looking at people like, man, I'd like to talk to that guy. He looks like I'd like to talk to that one. These were people on a mission, to get something done. When I got to get this done now, there was a sense of urgency with these people. So if you were building a community, you'd be a talent hunter. And I think it would change from, oh, can I come and live in your community? I'm on welfare, to, can I come and live in your community? And we'd be saying, well, what are you good for? Well, let's see. I'm a welder. I'm a mechanic. I am a well driller. I am a, furniture refinisher. Why don't we have a furniture store on the farm? Why don't we have a resale shop? Like a continual flea market, but it's a store. And so if you're the person that runs it, you go out and because some people like to do that. They like to go to flea market. Oh, look what I found, a really nice antique. My son's like that. He'll find antique things like fire extinguishers, and he'll put them on the wire wheel and clean them all up to be beautiful. He gave nothing for it, but then it's a really nice thing. You'd like to have it in your house. It's beautiful. And it'll be open to the public. Why not? Why not? All right, so Community Canning Center. And I want to do some of these things. I want to do them. I did work on the outpost today. That was one thing that I could do. I was doing a little bit of work, and then I'd have to kind of sit down for a while. But some of the stuff I didn't seem like a big deal, but I needed to get some measurements from the outpost, and I also had to move the observation tower up from down in the back. So, what about your own app like Justin Rhodes did? Now, I don't know anything about apps, so maybe somebody can explain that to me. Maybe. Does anyone know who owns the port in California? Is it the U.S. or was it sold in the 80s? I think a lot of it belongs to the Chinese. Jay Tackett says, I agree on the D-Day, like there's a sense of urgency. All right, he agrees with that. But you can't get your friends and family to see it, and that's okay. That's okay, because they'll see it sooner or later, and You just have to move in the direction that you feel led, and they will thank you for it. And if they think you're crazy, all right, well, who cares? Get used to it. I didn't know he talked about you. Yeah, yeah, somebody told me. Nathaniel P. Mark, you are much more authentic. Must be than somebody else. Did I tell you guys? My son Joe, he's my second oldest kid. He's a welder, and he's seeking to retrain and create for himself a career in something else. And he's the one that you guys may have seen made that video of Frank doing the floss, right? And he put it to Cotton Eye Joe, and I thought it was hilarious because Frank was doing the floss, that little dance that kids do. He did it here, there, with a carrot in his mouth on top of the grain bin, and Joe did the drone footage around him, and it was hilarious. Joe's talented with that stuff. He's a good welder, he's good mechanic, he's good butcher, he's good at everything around here, but he's decided to go this direction, and he approached me and said, hey, I can help you. And we said, okay, so we made a deal. So he's going to be our PR guy. He's going to clean up a lot of the videos, and he's got a lot of ideas. I don't know exactly what he's going to do, but we have a deal with him. He's gotten used to eating our food, so he's going to be back living in the area. He's the guy that's been living in a van for about 2 years. He fixed up one of those Sprinter vans. It's incognito, so he can stop just about any place and just sleep. Any place. It's incognito. Has no insignia on it that would give away what he's doing. And so him and his wife traveled all around the country and saw a bunch of stuff. And now they're going to put up a yurt here on a vacant piece of property and kind of chill out for a little while. And he wants to develop this career field. So any of the changes that you see, and some of the changes that we're going to explore are the way this is packaged. All right, now there could be a better microphone here so that this could just be a podcast, and it would still be this way, but it's sort of like when you listen to Rush Limbaugh on the radio. You don't see him, but then they did the Rush Limbaugh TV so where you could see him. So we did it the other way. We did it like this, and then, but it's going to put together a podcast, and we're going to develop. I'm going to leave this up here because I believe that you should all take a look at that, because we saw yesterday how Facebook just shut itself off for 6 hours. And that was no mistake. That was no worldwide glitch. That was a Q drop, between the 4th and the 8th. I don't know exactly what it was, but we know it's coming. They're going to black it out at some point, and probably YouTube too. So you'll want to have that so you can go there, and maybe our podcast won't be live, but maybe they will, because we're looking into a way that we could pay money for a live stream. And you would just have to, like Brittany was saying, maybe have an app. By the time I know how it works, I'll be able to explain it to you, but you would have it on your phone, and it'd be like an icon, and it'd probably be something with Baker's Green, and then it's boop, and you could listen to it any time, and we could say whatever we want. No hate speech throwing me out. We can talk about guns or anything else. Remember that time we were talking about weapons on the homestead? Like what does a person want to, do if you want to have weapons? Like, and so we were going through, you want to shoot chipmunks or you want to shoot grizzly bears? There needs to be some thought, and there's you can go through it and kind of establish what you want to do. But anyway, Roost Farm Alumni Coop of Michigan. Pew pew. Lots of great ideas, Inga says. Community canning center. Everyone brings in produce in jars. We work together and divide and share the bounty and of course feed the scraps to the pigs. You know what? That is, you think about that. You said a mouthful right there, Roost Farm. Um, if we had a canning day, let's say, or a canning week, I mean, really, you could have a canning week where we had the shop open and it was like people could just come and throw down for as long as they could. I don't know exactly how that would work, because there needs to be a spirit of equal pay for equal work. You know, it's like on the farm, a lot of times what we have to train people to understand is fair market value. Like, you're a skilled person if you can put tomatoes in a jar and can them effectively, and you can do it on a large scale. Good on you. I mean, you're creating food. Your time is worth something, and I don't want to, you know, there needs to be a fair trade in everything that we do, and really we need to talk about that. That needs to be up front and talked about, because nobody wants to feel like they're not getting a fair thing. But the minimalist lifestyle is, man, if I get 3 hots and a cot, I'm pretty darn happy. And I've been pretty darn happy with that for a long time, and I have way more than that. I have 2 tractors, I have a nice car. I mean, it's 20 years old, but it's still pretty nice. Got a radio. I'm pretty happy with stuff the way they are, you know. And I think that's part of it too, is don't be expecting too much. But if you had people coming together for a canning day, canning 2 days, 3 days, they'd have a blast. Everybody would have a blast. I know, every time we've done something here, like Jill did cheese making thing, and it was private, it was just her friends. But we had fun because the husbands came and then we hung out. We sat around a fire and drank coffee while they were making cheese, and then we ate their cheese. We just had a good time. Okay, Susan Greaves is with us. A healing center, good vibration, music, massage, yoga, meditation, healthy drinks, mud baths, salt baths. You know, what I just picked up on and I thought of, which I thought about doing this before, is like an amphitheater, you know, where a place where if a band wanted to come and play, people could come and watch the band. They could sit on the grass and they could, you know, we could barbecue stuff. Herb Garden Healing Center. Okay, I'm not sure what that would be, Keith. But you're talking probably about growing certain kinds of herbs for certain types of things. And if you had somebody, actually one of my daughter-in-laws would be the one for that. She's a real beaner on that stuff. And she could be the one that's collecting that stuff up, putting it in bottles, putting it in the store, and then teaching people how it works on them, you know. Drive-in theater, Joni Melville. It'd be fun to meet you, Joni. Come up with some fun things. And then Debbie says, thank you, sweetie. No problem, Debbie. Let me grab the correct website name. I will give it to you tomorrow, okay? Roost Farm is saying that stress must be from my dream. Jack saying I got gas. The ghost is saying the woman at the Senate hearing is definitely a glowy, but the Facebook moderator on the value entertainment video is the real deal. If you haven't seen the interview yet, check it out. I listen to that guy all the time. I like that guy. I don't know what a glowy is, but I have an idea. Inga says we are batteries. I would agree with that. I don't quite understand it, but I didn't see all that. Hidden Creek does have a website, by the way. Crunchy is asking. Maybe you guys, Hidden Creek, you could put it up so they could see it. When the SHTF will military back us or follow orders? They will not follow illegal orders. That's why I just don't buy this Afghanistan thing. It's too crazy. There would have to be too many people who did not follow. They would have to follow illegal orders to violate protocol, and the protocol of never leaving weapons for your enemy is, I just got an order from the president. He said, leave all this weapons for the Taliban. And a bunch of generals, 82nd Airborne guys, they'd be like, yeah, right. Get your phosphorus grenades, put it right out there. Fly this stuff out of here. Daddy Longbear, I'm a mid-husband, delivered my son in my shower. Roost Farm, I've birthed children. Their power comes from our compliance. You're damn right it does. And you may not get away with not complying, but you don't empower them when you make it very difficult on them. And we see this with the Walmart greeter guy. When you're done with him and he has to go in the bathroom and change his underwear, you've disempowered him. That's what you want. Yeah, wood stacking day. By the way, I did get some wood delivered to the house today. My son has a firewood company that he really likes, and he says they're real nice people, and I said, what the heck? And so I bought a load. It was 5 cords for $3.50. And the lady was super nice, super nice. Okay, Inga's saying Lee and Crystal Store has an herbal lady, a kombucha group, a goat soap lady in the store. Everyone works together. Awesome. Joni says the average teacher makes less per student than most parents baby for babysitters. I know what you mean. I mean what you know. See, and we could fix that. We could do it better than them. On most of this stuff, we can do it better than them. Lee says, we have a chiropractor who practices in our home, and we partner with a naturopathic doctor to help educate our customers. Right on. Right on. I met your naturopath. I was talking with her for a while. Cool chick. I've been thinking about the Amish today, listening to NPR bash religious exemptions, thinking about what could happen if they go out. Protect your family, but be more like the Amish and just be polite. Okay, I'm trying to be polite. Oh yeah. Swap meets would also be a good thing. Bring things you don't use and share with others in a group if they want them. Could be material things or produce, anything. Good idea. And have it on private property too, so it's not, doesn't draw any of the flies. Buy non-electric tools for backup? I do. Ladies could teach knitting, sewing, cooking, arts, music, dehydrating, midwives, on and on. Right on. Right on. I mean, okay. And Joni's saying, Inga, those are important skills that are hard to find now. Those who be great to teach others if you know them. Whatever happened to the Amish families threatened by the health department over their water and septic? I don't know. I don't know. They probably complied, They probably complied. And I don't, who's got time for those jerks, Angus says, I see old world crafts coming back, watchmakers, metalsmiths, woodworking, sawmills, etc. Lessons on how to tan leather and then reupholster a chair with leather. Right on. The ghost is saying, Mark is still with us, right on. Woo flu has no chance, right? Remember, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Fiber lessons if you have wool sheep. Yep. Farm to table cooking lessons. That's a real good one too. That would be a great thing, almost like a recruitment tool. So you have a farm to table dinner and you advertise it. And whoever hears it, hears it. And maybe you have 5 people, maybe you have 10 people, doesn't matter. But when they come in, then you get a chance to speak to them. And you say, yeah, we're putting together a community here. That building right over there, the guy that's in there, he does watch repair and he fixes shoes. And I think he's a midwife as well, And he's the preacher, yeah, and a fine cook. So after a while, your self-worth would be like, that guy can do anything. I want to be that guy. I really do. That guy can do anything. I had a situation one time. I don't know if I should tell this story. Well, I will. It was one of the best compliments that I ever got. I was working for a squadron that I really didn't like very much, and it was for a brief period of time. And we went on a deployment locally, and we had to take a bunch of stuff with us and set it all up, and then live for a couple days, then break it all down, take home, put it back on the shelf, and say, So it was mostly like how to survive in the field environment, setting up tents, sleeping out in tents, and all that stuff, just stuff that you do. And the first night, most of the people went to a campfire and they had beer. And they were a bunch of idiots, and they got even stupider as they got drunk, and I just had no time for it. And I walked off. And for me, walking into the night is not a big deal. I have kind of prided myself with my night vision over the years. And my night vision is really good. When I was a kid, I was in the woods a lot at night, and I liked it, right? Fear, but confidence, a little of both. Anyway, I walked into the woods. This is in northern Maine. And I wasn't armed or anything, didn't need to be. And I was coming out, and I'm walking back towards the camp, and there was a pickup truck, military pickup truck. And there's a car parked in front of it, and I recognized the car. It was a buddy of mine's girlfriend that drove out there, and then he drove away from the camp, and they were kind of getting friendly on the hood of this pickup truck. And I kind of walked up on him. And I was a little ways away, and I just went like that because I didn't want to scare him. And the guy says, "Mark, is that you?" And I said, "Well, yeah, but how did you know it was me?" And he said, "Who else would it be out here?" Like that. I thought, that's true. Everybody else was scared. They had to be at the fire drinking beer and acting stupid. And he said that to me, and it was just a personal thing, you know. But it was true. It was true. I was out in the perimeter, and I spent a lot of time in the perimeter because I couldn't stand being around a lot of those guys. They just act stupid and get drunk and be stupider. Okay. Look at that. We got 25 people and 25 thumbs up. We had a lot of good ideas. I'm going to try and get these put down on paper, and let's see where we go from there. Let's see. Let's see where we go from there. But we have to find solutions to what we're facing here. We have to find solutions. Okay. So, all right. Remember, anyone can farm, and please get that written down. www.bakersgreenacres.com. And if the whole thing goes away, you can find us there, and then we'll go from there.